All right, we're recording tonight. We're coming back. It's been a little bit since we've done an episode of Behind the Podcast, but we have a very special guest tonight. It's a very special episode. Coming to us all the way from the land of Ron DeSantis is Junseth. And if you don't know who Junseth is, then you have obviously not been listening to 40 Hours of Bitcoin podcast a week.
Yeah. Don't say, if for those coming in new, it's Butt Dickerson on Twitter, and this is the first
Dick Carson.
Dick Carson. This is the first Maxi Madness Final Four member that we've got on the podcast. So this is a big deal. It's Final Four. Now, yeah, man, congrats on the performance.
Thanks. I trained hard for it. Really. I didn't see it coming. I think it was Sailor who upset me.
Yeah. Sailor took it.
I mean, he's a real athlete, so I felt a little bit like a little bit of a bitch losing to Michael Saylor. I thought that I don't know. To me, I thought that I was the bigger Bitcoin Maxi. He's kind of like he's a little bit of a twink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I would say, did it hurt the ego to lose Maxi Madness to a gay fed?
Yeah, it did.
I didn't think Twitter would let that happen.
It hurt. It really did. And like I said, I mean, in that relationship, I would be the top. There's no question, right? Like, it just really, it did make me feel inadequate, small. But I do think that the right person won Maxi Madness. I think we all know that Teddy Bitcoins is maybe the greatest Maxi of all time.
I agree.
Right?
Do you think Teddy Bitcoins is going to be invited to speak at the Bitcoin in DC conference?
I don't know how they avoid it, given his performance. I mean, more votes.
I don't think they
what?
I said, I don't think they're going to want to invite him, but I think you're going to have politicians, you're going to have people like Cynthia Lamas who are going to ask them, like, is Teddy Bitcoins going to be there? And they're going to have to invite Teddy Bitcoins to get anybody to show up to their event.
They're going to have to. I think everyone wants to meet Teddy. I know Teddy. Teddy's a good guy. And I just am very, I'm proud of the fact that he put up such a good showing. I really think the community came together, voted ethically and with IDs, and ensured that you guys really ran a clean, compliant contest. I gotta say, I really I admire your efforts, theirs, and can't wait till next year.
It was truly one of the safest and most secure elections in human history.
I think that I've seen that evidence.
It was a proud moment for democracy.
Yeah. So I love Maxi Madness every year. I usually don't tune in until the end, but I guess because I don't know if you guys accidentally included me on the bracket this year or how that ended up happening. Just getting on the bracket made me pay a little bit more attention. I was like, oh, look at that. Apparently I'm playing.
No, you definitely belong on it. I mean, you were a pioneer in the Bitcoin podcasting ecosystem. Yeah. You were one of the first people to give people a reason to listen to 40 Hours of Bitcoin podcast a week.
A good start too. I think we I think our show is usually between 3 and 6, sometimes 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a good chunk of that 40 hour allocation.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. So, you were interested. You podcasted about Bitcoin pre Dennis Porter. What was the Bitcoin ecosystem like before Dennis Porter?
It was mostly drug dealers and hookers, and orgies.
That's a coincidence because before Bitcoin and Dennis Porter's life, I've heard that he was like a promoter at a strip club in Portland.
Well, that would make sense. You have to get exposure to Bitcoin through exposure to Bitcoin users. It sounds like he was probably right underneath a number of Bitcoin users.
Yeah, that's true. His Dennis Porter, he is a self-proclaimed progressive, liberal-leaning Bitcoiner, and he saw women, female sex workers, and he thought they are being exploited. Bitcoin fixes this.
Right.
So he kind of became like, it's almost like he managed their Bitcoin. It was like he was their orange pill pimp.
Well, this is like a few years ago. I remember I got a call from Bloomberg after one of the Bitcoin conferences, and they asked me if I thought it was appropriate that, I think it was the Dash or number, it was some other party, professional blockchain party, happened at what is ostensibly a strip club in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, well, why would that be a problem? They said, well, the women of Bitcoin had complained to Forbes about this. And I was like, I was confused. I said, the women of, you mean the strippers, or like, who are you talking about? And they were like, the lady was appalled. And I to this day can't figure out why.
Well, let's talk about the orgies. So are orgies a part of being like a good Bitcoiner?
Are they part of being a good Bitcoin? No, they're sort of a tangential thing. We didn't know about the orgies. We just kind of followed every lead. So we would have someone come on our show who was a Bitcoiner. In this case, we had a gay hooker come on our show, and not in the way that you might think he would have come on our show. He came on to be interviewed. So he came on our show and he invited us to an orgy he was going to the following night. And I mean, how can you say no? It's like being invited to a 1-year-old's birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we went and we paid $50 at the door at a Sheraton, and we went in and just observed nothing less than what I would call bukkake. But like they were like 65-year-olds doing bukkake.
What did you take away from the experience?
Syphilis, gonorrhea, AIDS, and HPV.
Did you have any trouble finding non-KYC HIV medication before Noster?
No, because we had Silk Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was easy.
So you still had Silk Road.
No, we had Silk Road back then until Ross was caught. Sad day.
Did you take any drugs, any psychedelics, or drink, or did you just do this? Did you use raw dog a senior citizen orgy?
No, we just, what's really funny is that we walked into this thing and we set up in another hotel room and would come back and we were giving updates to the listeners as to what we were seeing. And we walked in there with recording devices and just started like interviewing people who were like, or like, are you like enjoying this? I do this every week. And they were just like very happy to be interviewed. Like, my favorite memory. There was this young Brazilian guy. Like all the women, they were like 65-year-old, like 300-pound cows. And there's this guy there. He's like this Italian guy. He's got this, this golden chain around his neck, and he's got his white hair out. And he's like, he's not fat, but he's not thin. You know what I mean? He's like kind of got that like Italian hard gut. You know what I mean? And he's just raw dogging these chicks. These 65-year-old fat women. And then there's this like 28-year-old, 26-year-old. Like 6-pack guy in the corner, totally naked, ripping off condoms, putting new ones on, popping like Viagra's, and just going after him. And he's like pointing out to me, he's like, I've tried that one, and I've tried that one, and I've tried that one, and I've tried that one. That one over there is the only one I haven't tried yet. So I'm going to go over there and do that one. And then there's another guy there. He was this kind of awkward guy. It was pretty clear to me that like this guy can't get laid outside of an orgy. He was kind of a weird, he wasn't, like a hideously ugly guy, just kind of a normal looking guy. And he would walk up to the women, with their, vaginas hanging out and kind of poke at them and hope that they would allow him in an orgy to just like bang the fuck out of them. And every time he would do that, the women would slap him away. I was like, this guy can't even get laid at an orgy. Felt really bad.
What if you were to participate in an orgy like that, or any type of orgy? Which character what would you be doing? Would you be like, what the fuck is going on, or would you just be like, I'm the king of this orgy?
I think I admire the Brazilian 6-pack guy. You know, he just didn't care about what pussy he was getting, right? He was just going person to person to person, 65-year-old, 32-year-old, 55-year-old, just whatever there was to sample. He was doing the whole buffet. And he also, I don't think there's no way he was enjoying it because he was going to completion, so he was just popping a pill and then doing the next one. So like I admired the effort. I think his goal must have been to like fuck as many chicks as possible. And I was observing. That was the most interesting person of the night.
There's a lot of our people who like the Bugle and people we've met from doing this who it's like they're like that with Bitcoin podcasts. They just go in and they'll scroll through found. It's like they'll listen to this one, and they'll just listen to all of them. It doesn't matter what they are. And it's just like, I think this guy's at the orgy for the love of the game. And other people are just like, they're tourists or whatever. And it's like, it's the same at Bitcoin. It's like, you got some people who are there to consume all the podcasts and some people who are just there to fucking, we're trying to make a profit.
Anywhere we go for the porn of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here in
the
Bitcoin,
exhibition.
like, exactly. Like it's, I think before Bitcoin, men were more visual, but after Bitcoin, men get off by hearing the voice of other men say sweet nothings into their ears about this beautiful orange currency.
Right.
How did people... This is one of the powerful things that Dennis Porter has offered the world is men no longer need Viagra. They just listen to Dennis Porter.
Is that what Dennis Porter's offered the world?
So that was another question that fits right in is how did these guys at orgies get these just unrelenting boners before Dennis Porter?
I'm talking Viagra. Like medicine solves not having Dennis Porter around.
I mean, Bitcoin does a lot of things, right? It separates church and state, or sorry, not church and state. Money and state is one of the big ones that people are on about, but it also separates boners from pharmaceuticals,
right?
And that's incredible.
Do you do what I do? Do you carry around in your wallet a picture of Dennis?
I don't, but should I? Is it a good idea?
Yeah, it's. I think it's effective.
Yeah, what if you're like you're broken down on the side of the road and your wife wants to bang one out before you walk to get some gas and you don't get a boner? You pull out your picture of Dennis, boom. Right. You remember that Bitcoin is almost every one.
I'll tell you this. I never thought that I would need it, but then there have been a couple of times where I'm just like, what would I have done without this? You know what I mean? It's not often that there's an object in your wallet like that, but this is one of those. And it should be in full color.
Well, I think, like a lot of our listeners, they're orange shells. Are you familiar with this term, the orange shell?
No.
They can't orange pill anybody. It's like you can't get laid at a fucking an orgy. It's like this guy couldn't orange pill somebody, in a room full of fucking like Scientologist recoveries people.
They're orange.
You know what I mean?
They're orange cells. Okay.
Yeah.
Like they like think of somebody they go on a Tinder date, right?
Right.
And they're really horny. They want to get laid, but the girl is either a no coiner or shit coiner, and their primal desire to get laid is overpowered by their primal desire to teach them about Bitcoin. And
who's the female Bitcoiner with the long hair?
There's a couple of them.
She identifies as a man. She's tall.
Jeremy Rubin?
No. Thin, muscular, good looking.
But tall.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
What's his name?
I think I know where you're going with this. I'm offended.
What's his name? Her name?
No.
Oh, Joe Nakamoto.
No, not Joe Nakamoto.
She's a woman. Don't misgender her. She's the queen.
No, not her.
Damn.
Gloria Zhao.
Richard, you're evil.
Damn, Richard. I can't believe you thought that's the Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, no, Richard's wrong. Richard, you gotta.
Okay.
You're disgusting. You're disgusting. Tall. No one was even thinking about that.
All that matters that her macro is more interesting than her gender. So let's not talk about it.
You said blonde hair, Corey Clipston?
No, not Corey Clipston.
You
said long hair.
The long hair, the long-haired one, the one that the long-haired girl.
I have to Google it.
Oh my god.
Long-haired girl. We need to solve this mystery. Tall,
good-looking, tall.
It's not Jeremy Rubin.
No, not Jeremy Rubin.
He's not tall either. Oh, this is a stock.
Good-looking. I don't know. I'm totally good-looking. I don't find her very pretty. But anyhow, moving on. Is Richard still looking her up?
I don't know how to look it up. Like, do I ask AI or something?
You could, I suppose.
What was the description?
AI will never tell you. You can't if you meet a chick in a conference and she's hot and she's tall and you take her home.
She hired
you don't know if it's
hired a security guard. Recently,
you don't know if it's a guy or a girl. You cannot trust AI to tell you somebody's correct gender. They will fucking lie.
I don't think I really know of any tall women in Bitcoin.
Well, maybe we'll come back to it.
I mean, there's not that many.
Yeah, that's the one tall woman who identifies as a man, who's good looking as a man.
No, I got it backwards. I was looking for hot chicks.
Yeah, you got it wrong.
It sounds like Joe Nakamoto.
No, not Joe Nakamoto. Jesus.
What's that speech searching in the background? Because
sorry, what was the point that you were making?
I don't remember.
We were just talking about Dennis Porter and orgies.
Talking about Dennis Porter. Fucking hey. Anyhow.
So, do you think the orgies are still a part of Bitcoin, or not so much anymore? It's cleaned up a little bit.
I don't know that they were part of Bitcoin then. The problem with Bitcoin then was it was all dudes. So, like, I don't know. I think the orgies. I think the orgies are coming.
Do you think the 100K party on the yacht? Did you go to that? Was there any like orgy spinoffs that came from that one? Because that seemed like a good opportunity.
But that could have been like, I think they should have been naked. They should have been fucking. There should have been like babies made on that night. There are a lot of Bitcoin babies. That's another thing. I think we need more.
I don't think you could trust Bitcoin Magazine for that. I think if you're going to have like a big conference that turns into an orgy, that's got to be run by Swan. And I think that has a chance of happening in Washington, D.C. I think there's going to be a lot of gay dudes in the government who are orange pilled, and it'll be a good opportunity to have like some side orgies.
Well, I mean, it's a part of working with the government in general is there has to be orgies. Like,
yes,
David Bailey.
I think that's been sort of revealed in the last few years.
Yeah, David Bailey got invited to Bohemian Grove, so he's going to be
Did he really?
participating in his first one this summer, I think.
Fucking Bohemian Grove.
You ever been?
No, I've seen the videos though.
I think that like if you were like an undercover, fed in spaces or clubhouse from the CIA, if you were like, yeah, it'd be so much easier because like they're just easier at living that double life and just trolling really well, going into character. So I bet they have like great orgies. Like they were just at Strategy, they just had a conference at Strategy headquarters right by Langley. That was probably, they'd buy some great after parties at that fucking conference last week.
Yeah, you think they had orgies?
I think they were jacking each other off metaphorically, if not physically.
Yeah. Well, definitely metaphorically.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like what you guys do. This is a great little podcast. It's completely uninformative, but that's what makes it great.
I don't know. People call us. They say we're the most thermodynamically sound Bitcoin
I think
podcast.
that's probably true.
Well, you hear something that's in the headlines every day now, which we saw that coming if we're Bitcoiners listening to podcasts. A couple of years ago, El Salvador, nothing but the headlines, for good and the bad. But there's a lot of like mixed feelings about El Salvador lately. They took the Tether money. They're taking the IMF money. They're taking away the Chivo ATMs. But what's your take on El Salvador right now? What do you think my opinion is that it was just like, that's a nation state using Bitcoin as part of its tools to like upgrade. Do you think it's anything more than that? Like, what's your take right now?
I never know, because like these geopolitical things are so complicated, and I don't know anything about their country. Like, this is like one of those things where Bitcoiners had never heard of El Salvador until they decided to start using Bitcoin in the country, and then Bitcoin was like, "That's our favorite country," and I was like, "What?" And so Bitcoiners now think they know a lot about El Salvador. I don't think we do. It could be that maybe the El Salvadorians love being subject to the whims of a dictator, and maybe that's a good thing for a while. Maybe that's what every country needs every once in a while, is a good dictator. Or it might be that they at some point vote someone in to continue to allow MS-13 to run wild again. Who knows? But in the meantime, it's a fun experiment to watch.
Well, there definitely are some benefits of living under a dictator, and 100%. I think North Korea has really set the standard for the world. And I don't know why Bitcoin podcasters don't talk about it more, but North Korea was the first Bitcoin country in the world to adopt a Bitcoin standard.
Oh, 100%. Well, we said this a lot to Richard Vere. He would talk about how in a world where everyone uses Bitcoin, there's no war. And I'd be like, yeah, that's why countries that we admire and love, like North Korea, have been stacking for so long, because that's the world that we can't wait for. Where the North Korean government is one of the wealthiest in the world. That will be a great place.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're really good at allocating capital. So once they get it in the form of Bitcoin, they will be good stewards of the network.
Think of the country's biggest holdings, right? Over here you have Hennessy, and then over here you have Bitcoin, right? And I think the Hennessy allows them to spend a lot of time holding the Bitcoin because they're drunk and waiting it out. You know what I mean? So they drink, and then that allows them to hold.
This is what Russia's doing too.
Right. Russia's got their vodka.
Drinking vodka and hodling. Yeah.
Yeah. So
vodka and hodl. It's like Netflix and chill.
Vodka and hodl. Hennessy and hodl. I think you're right. I think North Korea is probably going to come out on the other end of this whole Bitcoin thing real hot. It'll be an interesting world to see. And what I'm really excited about is getting one of those Kim Jong-un designed study desks for my kid, because I think he designed them, and they move up and down, and I think they do that angle thing. And so I think it's probably a very effective desk for studying and writing on and doing all sorts of other various things.
Reading
manifestos,
song literature.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We need more pleb manifestos.
We do need more manifestos. I think manifestos would be a positive development of Bitcoin. We have a lot of white papers. We need more manifestos.
More
I'm working on mine right now. It's called How to Live a Credentialed Life.
How to live a credentialed life.
That's El Salvador.
When you finish that book, there should be a certificate at the end.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
You gotta do that.
Yeah, it looks like a diploma, and you can just get it framed and you put it up in your podcast studio.
Yeah.
We need more certificates in general, I think. Do
Mhm.
you think Robert Breedlove...
That's it. That's who it is. That's the woman.
Oh, Robert Breedlove.
Oh, he is very tall, and he has long
I
hair.
did too big of a jawline for me.
A very beautiful woman.
Back to El Salvador for a second. I think, and this is what I sense a lot of people, but this is my perspective. I think a lot of people, they didn't know the history of El Salvador all the details, but they had the vibe and they knew it was fucked up. And I think that they were just hoping to see that this dictator could succeed and help them. But on the Bitcoin standard, now that he's going off the Bitcoin standard, this dictatorship could get ugly really quick. But we had hope that an orange pill dictator could be benevolent.
I do think it's interesting that Bitcoiners believe that because they're orange pilled, that their dictatorialness will be somehow different than it would have otherwise been. That somehow the Bitcoin fixes it. Like
it just fixes the incentives,
right? It kind of can, but I think he would have put the MS-13 members away regardless. You know, like he would have a lot of the stuff he's doing has nothing to do with Bitcoin, and so like it's not that Bitcoin didn't fix it. Nayib Bukele fixed it, and so maybe that's what we should be spending as a currency. Like we could get him, cut his toes off, cut his fingers off, and like use his body parts as currency because Nayib Bukele fixes this.
Well, let's talk about it. I think part of the reason why he's putting the MS-13 gang members away is because his time preference is different than other Latin American, government officials. Like you look at Mexico, you look at Colombia, and these fiat politicians, they just don't have the time preference. They've never read the Bitcoin standard. They don't even know who Seyfedin Ammous is, and they're just like, we're just going to take these bribes from these MS-13 gang members because we have high time preference. So like we can't think about the long term of the future. Whereas Bukele is like, he can stack Bitcoin, he can bolster the country's economy, and then he can loot the coffers later on. And that's a much more long term play.
More the tradition.
That might be true. But I think what Nayib is proving is that if you go in and act like a dictator for a while in a country that is absolutely torn to shit by like gangs, and you just put the gangs away, you'll just get elected again and again to be the dictator. So like, I don't know that it's Bitcoin that fixed him or gave him this high time preference. I just think he's the first one to figure out that maybe the citizens of the country really want a safe place to live. And that if you make it safe, you'll continue to be president.
I really agree with that line of thinking, but I think that if it's that easy, then why doesn't everybody else just do that? Like, why doesn't Mexico do that? And I think Nayib Bukele was listening to Bitcoin podcast during COVID, and he's like, "How?" Yeah, I do, and I think that he decided if I pay them in Bitcoin, and I do a non-KYC deal with these gangs to, cut the shit. I think he did that. He figured out how to pull a really good deal and put because the gangs have to cooperate to put the gangs away. But somebody in some gang has to be the winner.
So
and he'll help you put everybody else.
Some gang members are compliant. While
I think Bukele figured out how to pay a good compliant. He realigned their incentives, so he understood their incentives, and he's like, "You'll sell out all these fucking poor dudes with this shitty tattoo, and you can out control these neighborhoods. You just got to pay your taxes. You have to afford your taxes. You can fucking do whatever you want once you can afford your taxes. You want to waste it playing video games, whatever, but." You can be your dang shit, but you gotta pay your taxes.
Do you think he made them change their tattoo so that they would have a new tattoo? Like a new, more compliant tattoos.
If not physically, then metaphorically, yeah.
Metaphorically, okay.
I mean, I think the long term play for him, which would be really good, is I don't think being a part of a gang is necessarily bad. It's just what type of gang you're in.
Like we're in
Your gang has to wear suits.
We're like in the Orange Gang, for example.
Yeah, I mean, he needs I think because he has been around Bitcoin for a while, he understands the importance of Bitcoin meme gangs.
That makes sense.
That's true.
Is Dennis Porter the head of a gang?
The Satoshi Action meme gang.
Yeah, it's a 501, nonprofit. So they do coin joins for people.
I see.
It's definitely a much more,
and then they pay the politicians.
It's much more mature and developed than like Triple Elite Memes or Meme Factory. Some of these old meme gangs.
But the point is, you have to know the meme gangs well enough so you know which kind of memes to post on social media. When like Time Magazine or Economics or The Economist is calling you a dictator, that's when you post a screenshot of you stacking one more sat for the El Salvador cold storage, or you talk about Bitcoin bonds, or you talk about volcano bonds or Bitcoin City.
Yeah.
And then people are like, this dude's not a dictator like the fiat mainstream media said. This dude's, listen, he's a Bitcoiner. Like,
do you think he turns on Max Kaiser at some point?
Oh, no doubt.
I think
do you think Max Kaiser gets thrown in the volcano or thrown in the prison with the MS-13 prisoners?
Mm-hmm. I think Max Kaiser is his Howard Lutnick. He's just like a dude that went down there to hike him up, be supportive to his bro, like his longtime friend or whatever, get some benefits on the side, hang out, enjoy life. And now he's like thrust into this geopolitical fucking like the eye of the storm. And Max Kaiser, Bugle is looking at Max, and Max is selling NADE. 220 is still in play.
NADE.
And now Bukele's YOLOing shit out, and now he's got to go to the IMF because his Oracle, Max Kaiser, told him 220 was still in play. And now we're at 58K, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to essentially be like, I need more accurate predictions from you, Max Kaiser.
Man, you made me look. We're not at 58K, thank God. Whew, I'd be poor.
I'm just saying, like, he's been saying this stuff for years. 220 is always still in play.
Well, it's in play. It is in play.
So
it is, but that's not.
It's like me making par in golf.
You don't need Max Kaiser for that. I could tell you that 220 is still in play, and I would be a lot cheaper than Max Kaiser. So, Nayed, you can call me up. I will be your guru.
Will you wear yoga pants?
No, the Bugle is as good as Max Kaiser when it comes to Bitcoin news. So,
this is part of why it's so important to.
Rod, I think the problem with the Bugle is it's far more accurate than Max has ever been. So
people don't like accuracy. People don't like when you make bearish predictions.
Yeah.
Well, we came up, speaking of accuracy, we came up with a new price model.
Okay. Yeah. Hit me.
Bitcoin podcast power law.
Okay. Let me analyze this.
The more Bitcoin podcasts there are, the higher the price goes.
I like this. This is great. This is like Bitcoin mining. Like the higher the hash rate, the higher the price, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the more Bitcoin podcast, does the quality matter or just quantity? Quantity. So you just want more.
But the more there is, inevitably, the higher quality they'll become.
You were we were talking earlier before we started recording. We were talking about MicroStrategy. You asked us like, if the demand for this infinite, and if the supply keeps increasing. And we know that the supply of Bitcoin podcasts cannot just be entropy, because you have to listen to 40 hours per week. That's energy to be able to start your own and be able to like have the thought to start your own. So if the supply keeps growing, it must mean that the demand is infinite. So that's the only way we can tell.
Have you guys considered that your wisdom needs a paywall?
No. What would that look like?
You're talking like a Patreon, OnlyFans.
Well,
yeah,
we're gonna be doing a lot of live performances. I think that's gonna be one of the paywalls. You gotta buy tickets to see us. So like we were talking. So I kind of think of ourselves, we're like in many ways, we're like the School of Americas for Bitcoin podcasters. Right. So like one of the things that we do on the side is we teach a lot of people about how to podcast about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think
How
that
much
needs
is
a paywall. I think we need to do like an $800 course on how to be a Bitcoin podcaster.
right?
Sure.
I don't think there's anything that precludes you on OnlyFans from only publishing podcasts. So if you wanted to have yours like consulting on how to make Bitcoin podcasts, you could just subscribe to our OnlyFans, and that's how you could get the RSS feed. So that is a possibility. Yeah,
I think OnlyFans is really like where you guys need to be. There's not a lot of Bitcoin content on OnlyFans.
They won't punish us for promoting people smoking cigarettes. So,
and we can bundle in our non-KYC feet pics that we're selling.
Absolutely, you could.
You know, somebody's got a 2002 Natalie Brunel foot pic from El Salvador.
Like, are you guys searching the internet for like rare foot pics?
No,
we're not doing. We're just connecting. We're just connecting.
Oh, you guys are like
peers.
Wholesalers.
We're just connecting people peer to peer.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I buy those?
Just DM me and
on no sir.
Yeah.
Nice. People think she's real pretty. I think Breedlove is a little prettier though.
I think Natalie's pretty, but there's this issue, which is there's not enough women. I call it PodConf goggles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you put on PodConf goggles, and you know it might be
it turns sixes into 14s.
Right.
Yeah. There's
exactly.
Yeah. There's not.
It's binary. It's binary. You
Bitcoin
either would or you won't. It's zeros and ones.
Bitcoin is like prison, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we come here, we are just a bunch of lonely guys, and
you gotta pick a gang.
You pick a gang. Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Like an El Salvador Supermax.
I'm in the Jewish gang. Here in Bitcoin, and I don't know what are you, Rod?
I'm aspiring to be in the Jewish gang.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to work up to that.
Yeah, I'm
trying
not
to impress him.
I'm not Jewish religiously or Jewish through birth, but I like to think of myself as Jewish because I've worked in media for so long, and I just figure like I've kind of become Jewish through osmosis.
So maybe you know the two newest members of the Jewish gang right here with me right here on PodConf.
Right. Exactly.
It's the best of the gangs. It's the Bitcoin acquisition gang is what we call ourselves. So, but yeah, you join Bitcoin, you join a gang, and you don't see any women. They're not here, you know. So you gotta go places that aren't Bitcoin, like church or something, to meet them. And I think that's probably how you avoid PodConf goggles. And in all honesty, the worst women are the ones that know anything about Bitcoin.
I think Lynn Alden's great. Super hot. She knows a lot about Bitcoin.
True. Yeah.
So she might be the exception to the rule right there.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. I'd rather meet a girl. I'd rather read a girl at Sunday school than BitBlock Boom. You know.
Yeah.
This is my BitBlock Boom girlfriend.
Lynn,
or your niece's bar mitzvah. So
exactly.
Bat mitzvah.
Yeah, bat mitzvah. My bad. So tell me about being Jewish. What's it like for you to be Jewish in Bitcoin?
Well, you see, there's a number of advantages. Like for example, anytime I want to get a story published in the media, I just call the Bitcoin Bugle, and they'll do it. Nothing. I don't even have to ask any questions or anything. Same with CoinDesk or any other Bitcoin news source. Just I get whatever I want published. And by virtue of the fact that I am in the Jewish gang, Bitcoin just shows up in my wallets. So it's actually neat. You kind of get paid for being a certain type of person. But then you got to be on the lookout because every few years, the world wants to kill you. So you just,
Well, like being Jewish is kind of like having credentials. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're born with credentials. Which that's why I work so hard to become Jewish. Just like worked really hard to join that.
Right,
gang.
you need compliance to become a money transmitter license.
That's right.
Is arduous. Try becoming a credentialed Jewish guy.
Right. Well, just becoming, a Jewish guy. You don't just say credentialed, like just becoming a Jewish guy.
Yeah, right.
So, are you a religious Jew or ethnic Jew, or you just identify as a Jew?
I'm a religious Christian who identifies as a Jew for the purpose of Bitcoin acquisition. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
like you relate to having been responsible for killing Jesus, and that's like important in your faith in Christianity.
Well, I relate. Yes. Correct. Yes. Yeah. I both did it and believe it happened, and that it was ineffective.
Like a lot of Christians, like there's an animosity towards the Jews.
Yeah.
For being responsible for killing Jesus.
Yeah.
So you just embrace it.
I just embrace it. I'm on both sides.
So how long have you been a Christian for?
My whole life. I was born on a Christian commune.
Oh yeah? What was that like?
Very Christian. When I was a kid, we lived in Brazil. My parents were missionaries, Jesus missionaries, and they I was born on the sister commune in Brazil, and a few years later we moved back to the United States and lived on the United States version of the commune. So communes all around, and it was cool.
Yeah, I think I had a not quite as extreme, but somewhat similar, very religious background.
Nice.
And I just think that I think the Jews, especially when it comes to they just have a lower time preference. Like the Jews are still waiting, and the Christians, they jumped the gun on.
No, they were right. They were the Christians figured it out. I occasionally act as the Shabbos goy for a friend. He he'll walk to my house on Shabbat and knock on my door at 11:30 at night because he had to walk like 4.5 miles, and he'll say, "Hey, I forgot to turn off my stove." And I'll say, "Oh, give me a sec, I'll get my car." So I drive to his house. He has to walk back, obviously. And I turn off his stove. And then on the way back to my house, as I'm passing him, I stop and I say, I call him over the car and I say, "You don't have to do this anymore. The Messiah already returned. So like, this is all, stupid and pointless, but I'll turn off your stove if you need it anytime."
I think I think there should be more Jewish Bitcoin podcasters, and I think there would be more. One of the things that I appreciate about Jews is they love to complain, and I love to complain. And Bitcoin podcasting makes it so that you can get paid in Bitcoin to complain. People here, listen to you complain, and I think that unlocks. I think more people need to figure out a way to find, because if people will pay to listen to you complain, it means that you're complaining about the right things.
Trying to get Bitcoin Tina to do a podcast with me.
Yeah.
For this reason. What's that?
Exactly. What's he doing, or what's his hesitation?
He doesn't think his mother would approve.
I mean, that's a really hard spot to be in. Like, I think we all want our mothers to approve of our Bitcoin podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
It is some like deep, childhood trauma there. If your mom doesn't accept your Bitcoin podcast, it's kind of like a deep rejection of.
Richard, does your mom ever listen to this?
What? Sorry, what was that?
Has your mother ever listened to the podcast?
No.
She's lucky.
No, she doesn't approve of it at all.
I can't imagine she would.
That's okay.
My mom would not listen to it, but even if she did, she would not know at all what was going on. And so she wouldn't be like, she wouldn't be offended. She would just tell me that she, like what she does with everything. I love you, but that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. I mean, one of the major points of conflict.
Probably the first word she said to you when you were born.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
One of my parents, growing up, my parents had a major point of conflict, and it was on their philosophy around cigarettes, right? So, like, my father's side of the family believed in starting kids young. And they start a kid, and I don't think this way. I think you should wait a little bit longer to start your kids smoking cigarettes. Like, in my father's family, they'd start them around 6 years old. And
Is that too young for you, or do you think like 6 is a good age for that?
Well, I think it worked out well for me, but I personally believe you should wait till they're 8. You should wait till they're a little bit more developed.
I saw Rob's post today about said the first time his children asked him at the dinner table, what is the government? And I told Rob in Telegram, I said, that I think is the age you start your kids smoking cigarettes. Once your kids start asking questions about the government, they're mature enough to smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my father died of lung cancer when he was pretty young, and so my mom doesn't like cigarettes, right? And
women never understand. They never.
I know. I try to explain this to her all the time. Is he didn't die from cigarettes. He died from lack of Jack Cruz podcast.
You're right.
They needed methylene blue.
If he had smoked cigarettes, I mean, like I can't say that Jack has said this definitively, but I've heard something similar to this. 2 things. Number 1, if you sun your balls at least 40 minutes a morning, that's worth 1 cigarette. That cleans up all of the toxins. So maybe to get like the ball sunning for the day, you'd want to do 40 minutes and then like maybe another 20 minutes so that you get your like normal sunning, and then you delete the cigarette from your lungs. And then I think what you do is you like maybe PodConf should have ball sunning pants where throughout the day you could just kind of like wherever you are, like maybe in the park, you just kind of lift it up and it just exposes your balls to more UV so you can smoke, slowly 1 cigarette at a time, and get on your way to the 40 minutes of deleting the cigarette you just smoked.
Mm-hmm.
That
I think
would be.
Richard, is that like the solution to most of the world's problems? Podcasts? Is that
Bitcoin podcast?
Specific? Was Jack Cruz a Bitcoin podcast?
Yeah, I would argue it's a Bitcoin podcast.
All right.
Yeah, Jack Cruz is he's like he's like a young boomer, but he's just like always posting videos in a pool with his shirt off in El Salvador, and he's talking, about, it's kind of like the counterculture medical advice.
I didn't believe many of Jack Cruz's claims, and so one day I was hanging out with Jack Dorsey, my best friend, and I said, Jack, Mr. Dorsey. I didn't say Mr. Dorsey because that's not what you say to your friend. I said, Jack. Hey, Jack. Do you know Jack Cruz? And Jack Dorsey looked at me and he goes, yeah, of course. Great guy. Love him. Why? And at that moment, I knew that basically everything Jack Cruz says is true. So
there you go.
Interesting.
It's like
just needed that confirmation.
Well, he knows how to dive into things from first principles because he's a Bitcoin podcaster. And this is what the fiat podcasters don't understand. They don't hit things from first principles. Like you look at like a Joe Rogan, for example.
Is Joe Rogan a fiat podcaster?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, when's the last time you had a Bitcoiner on?
Probably Antonopoulos. Is Antonopoulos a Bitcoiner, or is he more of an etherhead?
He was a Bitcoiner at the time. It was too early for ETH for him to have that much conviction back then.
And he loved ETH.
But no, it's the people ask about what's the 40 hours of Bitcoin podcast per week. Like, we explain this on every podcast, but people still ask us, what does it mean? And it's like, why would you listen to 40 hours per week? And the answer is simple. It's because I value my time. And there's hours and hours of the day, stranded hours of time that I could be monetizing by listening to Bitcoin podcasts. Not today, but it someday will pay off in the future. And until you got something, an hour of my time that's more valuable than listening to a Bitcoin podcast, I'm going to choose the Bitcoin podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
have you guys considered making the podcast 40 hours long?
I was thinking about this, actually. I was thinking about doing a 40-hour straight live stream in Vegas.
Like, if you did
but you need entropy.
You do need entropy.
You need entropy. We've talked about you need entropy. Yeah, you can't just do macro.
You're right.
You can't just do Bugle. You got to do paranoid schizophrenic privacy podcasts. You got to do.
I heard you talking to Mike Brock about that.
Yeah, that was Richard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about that? That was an interesting, one of the more interesting conversations I've ever had.
Yeah. I enjoyed. I enjoyed the many times that you guys talk past each other.
Oh yeah. Well, Mike Brock was a Jack Dorsey guy, so again, that's how you know he was right about everything.
My favorite thing was when he said, he said, "This is when people like me, philosophers like me, call eschatology." And he said that about hyper Bitcoinization, and I thought to myself, that's not eschatology. Someone needs to fix this man's thinking. Bitcoiners don't believe the world ends at hyper Bitcoinization. That's when the world begins.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's really talking about is the study of the beginning, not of the end. And I don't know what that study is called, but it's not eschatology.
Well, this is the point that I made of why he challenged me to debate. So I was on Twitter and I was letting him know that he needs to sit down. He doesn't have a valid opinion. He doesn't listen to 40 hours of Bitcoin podcasts a week. So he needs to shut up, sit down, go do his homework, and then circle back around and see if his
and
he needs to do the proof of work before he starts yapping.
It's true.
And I think the most valuable takeaway from that whole debacle is that orange cells are kind of like Mike Brock in any situation where they're trying to orange pill people. And most of those people are like Richard. And you're going into this orange pilling situation and you're just talking about how smart you are, how many fucking experts agree with the, Bitcoin mining is thermodynamically sound. This money is programmed to go up forever. It can't go down. It's a black hole consuming everything. And you're explaining to them and you're appealing to authorities like Robert Breedlove. You got to listen to Sailor series of Robert Breedlove. You're going to learn about thermodynamics. You're going to go to Lynn Alden. You're going to learn about the history of hard money. And you're just giving them like all these philosophers that you're regurgitating. And you're using that to like try to impress them about how smart you are. They should just do whatever you're doing, be in your ideology. And Richard's just like, all this sounds ridiculous to me. Do you even fucking listen to Bitcoin podcast? Because if you did, you would know everything you just said is bullshit. And 101, and it was just hilarious. But that's what the orange shells were dealing with. They're like the Mike Brock of a situation that they're trying to orange pill, and it's just they're embarrassing themselves.
When you say 40 hours of podcast, are they modern? You have to listen to like current podcasts, or can you listen to old stuff?
Old stuff's fine.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. As long as it's been built on the longest chain, if it forked off and became a Bitcoin Cash podcast, no. But if it was part of the main chain back in the day,
listen to like Dan Creno, the Nakamoto Institute guy, Crenshaw, Dan. Crenshaw.
Dan Crenshaw's the Navy SEAL Army dude with one eye in Congress.
Daniel Cren, who became a Bitcoin casher, obsessed. Dan Cronin.
Dan Krawis's.
That's it.
Krawis's. Daniel Krawis's.
Daniel Krawitz.
Was Polish? Krawitz. Okay.
Yeah.
So his podcast. I mean, if it was before the fork, but you have to discount any SegWit, any SegWit stuff. He's gonna be wrong on.
That's great. Okay. So any podcast, old, new. So there's a lot of content out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But not enough.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got 5 years of podcasts minimum at 40 hours.
In 2017 or 16, if you were trying to listen to 40 hours per week, how hard would that be to find the content?
40 hours, 2017. You could have done it. Yeah, it wouldn't have been impossible. But I wouldn't have called them all Bitcoin podcasts because it was all ridiculousness, right? Like we had all the people doing provenance chains and fucking medical records on the blockchain.
Well, we got Bitcoin podcasts now that Swift are kind of like on the blockchain. They talk a lot about Monero, and we let them get away with that.
Blockchain. Yeah. Well, Monero gets a pass in some ways.
I agree.
I don't know why, but they do. It's obvious that they do. Tether gets a pass. I mean, obviously Tether gets a pass.
Well, Tether gets a pass because it's just a company, Monero gets a pass because we like Fluffy Pony. Like Fluffy Pony, a well-loved Bitcoiner. So, because we like Fluffy Pony, Monero gets a pass.
And it's not a pre-mined shitcoin.
What's that? Yeah, it isn't a pre-mined. It's been around a while. It's a post-mined shitcoin. And it's it just like I said, it gets a pass because we like
it's not volatile enough for you to pump and dump on people.
Yeah,
right.
We like Ricardo, and so in order to keep him around, we pass it. We're like, whatever. Like, no one's getting hurt by this one.
What do you think? What do you think is going to be the ultimate culmination of the meme coins? Like we've talked about how at this point it's not official, but they're replacing Social Security. Everybody's going to be issued a meme coin at birth, and you're just going to have to hope that thing you catch the liquidity at the right time and sell out because that's your only chance of retiring. And do you think that this is sustainable? Because this is another question of
that model's 100%
is the demand
sustainable. Absolutely, that is.
Is the demand infinite? Yeah,
for meme coins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as what we call them today is meme coins, who knows what they'll be called 2 years from now?
I mean, the thing is, like, there is a memelarity, if you will, right? All memes collapse to Pepe. So, I don't know. I don't know when that happens or how it happens, but they all do. They all collapse to Pepe. And so, we can run these memes as long as we want, but they will eventually all fall into the same hole.
If it's not Pepe, on Bitcoin, it's probably going to zero.
Well, it's yeah, definitely over the long term. It's not a long-term hold. None of them are. Not like MSTR.
But there's when do you finally give up? Because there's always people that can make a little money off a good tweet that goes viral.
The answer's always the same, at $1. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's always $1.
That's true.
Yeah. It's all coins are going to $1. Doge is going to $1. Ripple's going to $1.
If things get bad enough, SafeMoon could go back to $1.
SafeMoon could go to $1 again. Yeah.
No.
So not Hex though. This could be $1. What's Hex at now? Hex is going to $1.
People would be so pissed. Richard, if he bought more Rolexes with that fucking pomp, people would lose their minds. Predator would be infuriated with that.
Is Richard still rich? He had to have walked away.
Well,
with
he
the law,
got
right?
it. They dropped all his charges, so he probably had to pay taxes for that.
Nice.
I mean, he's got to be still rich because he never had to hire Jewish lawyers.
That's true. That's what I was going to say earlier about, do you get a discount on Jewish lawyers? Because those are expensive.
Do I get a discount on Jewish lawyers?
Mm-hmm.
No.
They don't got like a promo code?
Bro, you don't give your fellow Jews discounts. You give them legs up. It's different. And free
that's
trips
right.
to Israel.
That's a big perk.
It is a perk. But yeah, you don't get
Especially
discount codes.
telling me it's great.
Like
Yeah.
that would undercut the whole business. That's so stupid.
I have a lot to learn there.
Yeah. A lot. You sound like an anti-Semite.
No. Just, I just think that they are the most efficient, so I might as well pro kosher. That's because that's going to be the best way to go. It's the most rational.
I mean, you have to work with the Jews. It's just something.
I'm not crossing the Jews. Hell no.
The Jews are here to stay. They're not going away. You got to work with them. You got to accept them, and the trade-offs make sense too. It's not like you're just like dealing with somebody that's like offering no value to the world. Jews offer a tremendous amount of value to the world. If you want good movies, you need the Jews.
I'll pay my lawyer. I'll pay my accountant as long as they fucking do a good job.
Yeah, you want good rap. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who
I want good movies. I wish Harvey Weinstein could make good movies again. There'd be hot chicks in movies again.
You want Taylor Swift music?
Who are your favorite Jewish rappers? Or you're just saying on the production side?
Well, Lil
Dicky. My
Dicky.
favorite Eminem. Sammy
Dre.
Davis Jr. Dr. Dre, absolutely. Yeah, Justin Bieber. I don't know why I decided I needed 5.
Kanye for a while.
Kanye for a while. That's true, but I think he's left the faith.
Started to look that way.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him in any sort of faith. So,
maybe he'll do like a favor and finally make the Nazi symbol or the Nazi thing is cringe, but then it became so funny just how much it triggered people. So somebody's got to finally retire it and kill it. Maybe Kanye will be so annoying that he'll just never come back.
The funny thing about Kanye is, he says these things that are, anti-Semitic, and I think it's funny that people care. What damage is Kanye going to do?
Kanye doesn't agree with the way we run our record label. Oh no.
Right? Oh no.
Neither does anybody at anybody in the on the campus. Is anybody? Nobody agrees. Everybody thinks it's bad.
I mean, he makes Netanyahu look like a rational human being. It's probably like one of the greatest things for the state of Israel that's ever happened.
Where do you guys stand on the Gaza thing?
I'm probably going to be
nowhere good to stand there. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Well, Trump's going to fix it.
Sprain your ankle.
You wouldn't stand anywhere near there.
David Bailey. I'm excited for Bitcoin 2026 happening in Gaza. That's going to be interesting.
It's great.
I don't know enough about Gaza. I don't pay enough attention to really say, but from what I do know, if Donald Trump and David Bailey think that Bitcoin could fix Gaza, at this point I'm willing to let them try, because everything else we've tried has failed. So maybe Bitcoin can do it. It works for El Salvador. Why couldn't it work for Gaza?
Why not make Bukele?
He's got to build really good prisons. Yeah, they need to. What they need to do, they need to get a Bitcoin miner in there. They need to start stabilizing the grid. And once they stabilize the grid, they can build supermax prisons, throw all the bad actors in there, and then let Bitcoin podcasters come there on vacation and set up Bitcoin podcasts and like another Bitcoin beach, circular economies, and kickstart that area.
I mean, I think my biggest frustration with Gaza over the last year is, all these people, they're getting bombed.
Yeah.
They don't have any food. They're going hungry, and there's all these people that are hopping in there trying to help them fundraise. But they're using shit coins. They're not Bitcoin only. And that's
using Geyser.
Do you think that's why they're getting bombed?
No. I mean, I think that the Israeli intelligence uses shitcoins. I think they were big proponents of Zcash, and they use Monero. Like, I don't think the Israelis really care about them shitcoining that much.
And I think the CIA controls all the Monero nodes. I mean, that's why all those federal buildings, they've just been sitting empty with all these PCs running all day. This has been fucking Monero mining.
That makes sense. That's no one else is mining it.
Right. And who has access to all these free computers?
Right.
Right.
I don't know. The Gaza thing's interesting. It's just, I feel like this is just how war is, where the aggressor that has more missiles, always creates damage and, kind of comes off as the bad guy. But, it's...
In that situation, whoever has the most missiles, their opinion is right.
Yeah, and it's just one of the things with fiat money is like whoever has the best money printers has the most missiles.
That makes sense. Also, the Cantillon effect is strong with them, right? Whoever's closest to the money printer has the most missiles.
Right.
I think that's a
right there.
Tried and true financial, principle.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the Houthis? They're a pretty interesting crew.
I thought they were Star Wars characters.
In a lot of ways, they are. I mean,
I didn't like.
They made me think of the Ewoks.
Yeah, that's what the Houthis. Like, I just thought that it was like a group of people that Anakin encountered or something like that, or like the Imperial soldiers encountered, and they're like, "Whoa, the Houthis!" It sounds like a bunch of aliens.
Like the Wookiees.
Like the Wookiees, exactly. The Houthis and the Wookiees, the great battle of the Houthis and the Wookiees.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts on them. They sound like mud people. You know what I mean?
But
they kind of are. But they're running some interesting warfare techniques where they're able to shoot these like really cheap remedial missiles to get shot down by very expensive, sophisticated missiles. And
that doesn't sound too hard.
Well, it's a very creative way of warfare. It's more economic than kinetic, even though it's kinetic.
Yeah, but that runs out because they don't have any money. Like, I think that you can make the country with the expensive missiles can make a lot more expensive missiles than the Houthis can make cheap missiles. You know what I mean?
Unless they have another country that's like a benefactor for them.
And of course, they don't have that.
Well, they're just one of many who they're not going to win. They're going to get fucking obliterated. But then there's just another Houthi, and then there's another Houthi over here. And like they're not the Houthis, but it's what's the thing in. They got stuff in Somalia. They got stuff in Africa. They can always find some more Houthis. The Houthis were just like, listen, the government's making us spend this money at the Pentagon. We got to buy shit. We can't store it. We got to blow something up. We've got to bomb something. This is how we keep the liquidity of the supply chain going. If liquidity dries up and there's not missiles going across borders, we just got to do something. So they have to bomb somebody, and that's the Houthis right now.
Am I wrong? Don't we make all the missiles and bombs here?
Well, that's the problem. They're not buying ours.
Where are they buying them from? Are they all Iranian or something? Is it?
It's like people. They've got like the BitX fucking decentralized
like
missile
Raspberry Pi
market.
bombs? Is that what's going on?
Exactly. They've got materials. They just put some bamboo and they put some fucking shit in a bamboo and they get some rocket fuel and it goes where it has to go.
They're going on DefCAD and they're downloading the files and they're printing it.
Is bamboo like a plentiful resource there where the Houthis live?
I know. They do was on sale at the Home Depot in fucking Yemen.
Yeah. That makes sense.
We could probably blame Cody Wilson for the Houthis.
It's probably Cody's fault.
And the Houthis are on YouTube like crazy, so they probably got tutorials. It's like, hey, this is how you set up your fucking own hypersonic missile. You just have to get this and this. Yeah, all you do is you go to your backyard and you point it and you go. And they got like a BTC sessions Houthi guy doing do-it-yourself missiles tutorials.
That makes sense.
It's awesome. Yeah.
The Arabic version of BTC sessions. I mean, that's...
Why shouldn't the Houthis have YouTube tutorials on attacking international shipping?
Right.
We can have, they have access to it. They know how to make content. That's probably in demand.
Do you think they have inventory tracking of their missiles on the blockchain?
Guaranteed. It was created by IBM. Walmart
has
a
coin for that.
Why wouldn't they have it for missiles and inventory?
They know how.
What is one of the qualifications is are the Houthis allowed to purchase MicroStrategy senior convertible notes and put it in their treasury?
I think they can if they have $100,000.
If they have a bank in Qatar, they could do it. Yeah.
I don't think that there's like a lot of restrictions on those things.
So these might be MSTR degens for all we know.
Do you think they're creatively diluting the shareholders by buying?
The Houthis, I don't know if they know how to do that.
That'd be how to bankrupt all the Bitcoiners.
The CIA's got to get demand for treasuries, so they got to get Tether into Africa. They got to get Tether into more parts of just the global South in general. They got to get meme coins there. They got to run pump and dumps. They've got to get more people buying, U.S. treasuries or derivatives that create demand for treasuries.
Interesting. So you think the CIA needs to create more pumps and dumps all over the world?
Right. They've got to create, instead of circular economies, they're trying to create circular pump and dumps. They're going into places like South Africa, places with like not the greatest financial regulation. And it's like, all right, how do we get these people to buy treasuries? We'll get them excited in meme coins. We'll pick some meme that's local that makes sense to them, and we'll pump the meme coin. They'll ape into it. They'll want to get out. The smart ones will. The lucky ones, and they'll need Tether, and they'll get into Tether, right? Yeah, exactly.
Meme coins are a means to convert people to Tether,
right? And once they get into this cycle and like they're introduced into their communities, they'll search for podcasts, and they will start listening to podcasts, and they will start to use their time more efficiently. They'll be listening to more podcasts, and it will allow them to stack, more tethers, more meme coins. It'll slowly build the economy up, or at least provide liquidity for everybody in the U.S. market.
I see that logic. That makes sense, actually. They
just a hunt. That's just the vibe I get.
Well, that makes sense. Like the CIA is doing a lot of fucked up stuff, right? Like, so that would be like that one at least would be effective, because once they start listening to the podcasts, then they have the means to be orange pilled.
Right. And you could do coups, you could do all kinds of stuff without having it's Bitcoin does fix war, right? Like the coup just happens through the meme coins and the destabilization of whoever has the most tether wins. And then you don't even need the missiles.
It's amazing.
Well, this is kind of a fun fact. It's a growth hack for your podcast, and not a lot of people know this. We talk about it pretty frequently, but like you want to grow your subscriber list, your downloads to your podcast to get more money from your hardware wallet sponsor.
Makes sense.
You just mention every intelligence agency out there, and then they all start listening to you.
They have to. It's required. If you mention an agency by name, somebody has to get on and listen to the whole episode.
Have you gone through the list of agencies? Because there are like thousands of them. Things you never heard of.
We haven't, but we should.
You should go through that and just.
I think honestly, we shouldn't name. We don't have to even name them in podcast. We just list them in the meta tags in the RSS feed because they're just monitoring it automatically, and then they see their agency mentioned, and then they got to assign an agent to listen, and that's an opportunity to orange pill somebody in the deep state. Is like, hey, make them listen to your podcast.
Do you think Ben Shapiro is like all of these agencies' outsourced person to listen to these podcasts? Maybe.
Maybe I'm the politics side, but I don't think Ben listens to 40 HPW, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sure that's true.
I think Charlie Kirk might.
Charlie Kirk.
So I had a debate with Rod. I don't think we ever talked about this on the show, but we were discussing Ben Shapiro's sister. And I'm of the opinion that like your average IDF chick is hotter than her.
Mm-hmm.
But Rod thinks Ben Shapiro's sister's way hotter than your average IDF chick.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think that Rod thinks that Ben Shapiro in drag is a handsome woman, is what I think. And I think that's a valid thing for Rod to think. I don't, to each his own.
I mean,
just to clarify, that the disagreement was not that I think she's hotter. Everything's about trade-offs. And for Monero people, they're willing to give up everything else for privacy. And with the choice here, I'm willing to make all the trade-offs for those huge tits. I love those huge tits. And I don't care what anybody thinks about what's attached to the rest of her. I'm a tit guy.
I'm just not a tit guy. I'm a face and ass guy, and that's my thing.
Do you think there's a point where they get too big?
You asking me or Rod?
Rod.
For me, yeah.
No,
I think it's a vector. That is a vector. So depending on who you are and your
how big?
For some people, it's double D. For some people, it's the stuff that they haven't even. You have to go to like the big dogs just for the bra. Like the big dog store at the outlet mall. It's the only place they can find your bra size.
The big dog store?
Like the big milkers. Like it's like a big dog store, but it's like for girls with such big milkers, like they can't get anything at JCPenney. They can't get anything on Amazon that has any quality. When they're on their way to, what's that place? Branson, Missouri, or they're on their way to Gatlinburg, they could stop at an outlet mall, go into Big Milkers, and stock up on their bras.
Big Milkers being the store.
Yeah, that's the name of the store, Big Milkers.
I think they carry that brand at Buc-ee's in Texas.
Yeah, you can get it there. Waco, Texas, Busey's got my fucking Big Milkers brand. But that's all I'm saying is for some people, that's too much. But for some people, if it's hard to get laid, and you tell a girl that has A cups that you think B's are too big, she might throw you a bone.
No, I think you want to throw her a bone.
Oh, yeah. I was talking metaphorically, you're talking physically.
That's some thermodynamically sound alpha dating advice right there. I never thought about that.
Pretty good. So you go to like a woman who's got like quadruple Z's, and you're like, I think quadruple Y's are too small.
Well, and you get to a girl with quadruple Z's. It's like if you've got the bravado, if you smoke enough cigarettes and you have enough self assurance that you can handle double Z tits. Yeah. Like you can't think it's like a big dick energy. It's like you go up to a girl like that. There's not too many people that could be her suitor that could handle her. Well,
does a girl like that want a tall guy, or does she want a guy with tits as big as hers?
Yeah, well, that depends, and depends on what's legal in that state. In Thailand, all bets are off.
Yeah, and I understand it. I'm not a big milkers guy. I'm more on Richard's side, but I understand, Rod, where you're coming from.
Mhm.
I think that Richard lacked the empathy to understand, but I get you.
I think in most cases that would probably be correct.
I don't know. I've just never been into big tits. I find them to be a distraction.
Well, I think that's the point, though.
Some people don't want to be distracted when they're banging their wife. Some people do. And big tits are a good distraction. You can think of Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I think Rod's in it for the distraction, Richard.
Yeah, it makes sense. What are your thoughts on listening to Bitcoin podcasts when you're having sex?
It depends. I think it depends on the intro music. Sometimes if the intro music sucks, it can kill the mood. But like what I need is a good 14 or 15 second intro so that I can finish and get to listening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So some podcasts have too short of intros and some have too long, and some just like the music is kind of a mood killer. So, but if I can get a good 14 or 15 second intro, with good music, like I'm generally pretty happy.
Yeah.
Are you a big value for value guy in bed? If you get head, do you give?
No, I've never given head. You know, I'm not. No, really. Like I'm more of a completionist. You know, in both things like collecting and in sex. It's kind of my tactic has always been to sort of jackhammer the fuck out of the person. For like I
Shut
said,
up, pies.
Yeah, 14
Shut
or
up,
15
pies.
seconds, and then just kind of roll over and do the next thing. You know,
Smoke your cigarette.
smoke a cigarette, listen to some podcasts.
Yeah.
But listening to Bitcoin podcast, as somebody who's been in the Bitcoin podcast game and listened to and made so many Bitcoin podcasts, do you still listen to them? Are you ever going to stop? Do you think you'll ever stop listening to Bitcoin podcasts?
You want to know the truth? I never really listened to any Bitcoin podcasts ever. Not even mine. Not even mine.
Well, getting going on Bitcoin podcasts.
Yeah, sometimes I go on them. I just, I believe strongly that other people should listen to them. I think you guys have really hit on something here. But not me, because like if you're like a person who just like, I don't know, is a reservoir for vitamin K or something like that, you don't need to take the vitamin. That's me. That's like I'm a reservoir for Bitcoin. I don't need any more entropic knowledge, to become more Bitcoiny. But most do.
How do
it seems like.
What's that?
I was just going to say, it seems like if you think that or if somebody thinks, I really like Bitcoin, I'm really secure in it, but I feel like if I don't listen to Bitcoin podcasts, I'm going to miss out, or that I can't hang. But it's like you go on Bitcoin podcasts, people seem to, you seem to just be able to feel out the environment and the vibe, even though you don't listen. And that's just like, you can be in Bitcoin without fucking actually listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I exude Bitcoin. It's the only thing I think about. So whereas other people need to like, their mental energy needs to go toward the podcast. I need to sit down, and I understand, like, they need to soak in it. I'm sort of like Buddha under the banyan tree, and I have become Bitcoin podcast, if you know what I mean. It exudes through me. I am the embodiment of podcasting in Bitcoin itself.
People meet you, and it like verifies it validates Bitcoin podcasts. Like, I knew that this energy existed, and they see it in you.
Exactly. They're like, I knew I needed to listen to more Bitcoin podcasts. Like,
I need to listen to Bitcoin podcasts just so I could talk to this guy.
that's right.
What does it smell like when it's coming out of your pores?
Well, my wife says it smells a little bit. It smells similar to when I go to Starbucks and get the latte, because they don't have.
Are you lactose intolerant?
Extremely, yeah. They don't have the lactate that they put in there. They use straight up milk, like full on cow titty milk, and so as Bitcoin podcast.
It'd be nice for raw milk.
I don't think that you can at Starbucks. I mean, I think you can. I just don't think they'll give it to you.
No, I mean, they should. One day RFK, hopefully, will get this done.
Where would they buy it? From the Amish?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's like one of the examples of what the world looks like when Bitcoin fixes everything. Is you got raw milk at Starbucks,
just everywhere.
Yeah.
But then, why would you need it to start? You got it in your fridge.
What's my year at Starbucks?
You can make coffee at home.
It's convenient.
You don't need Starbucks anyway. But, why does Starbucks exist? It's because women exist. Women like Starbucks.
That's trash.
As long as women exist, Starbucks will exist.
That's how we'll keep.
As long as women exist, Starbucks will exist. That's true. That's sound. That's sound, Richard.
So Junseth, one of the things, I think one of your most notable accomplishments ever was that you created a new dance move.
Did I?
Yeah. Called the blockchain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't even know I did that. It was effortless. Do you want to show it to me, Rod? Have you been practicing it?
I've been practicing it.
Richard, why don't you show it to us?
Unfortunately, I don't have a camera on my typewriter. Or I would. Are you going to Vegas?
No.
No.
I'm a sedentary Waffle House observer.
Mm-hmm.
I only go places where there's a nearby Waffle House. Number one. Number two, I've adopted a new political philosophy called steampunk Luddism.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be surrounded mostly by gas propelled machines at all times, and be silent in my worship of steampunkery.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think I can do that in Vegas. There's too many electronic machines and stuff. I I want gas powered lights, gas powered stoves, gas powered refrigerators, just everything gas powered. So I've been avoiding conferences of late for that reason.
But isn't steampunk about being steam powered, not necessarily gas powered?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's hard to get steam in a desert. That's true.
Yeah.
No, there's not going to be a lot of steam in Vegas.
And coal is fine. I mean, I feel like gas fits the bill. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's you're right, but gas, steam, coal, whatever.
Well, gas is the new steampunk. It's going to be people using it. It's going to be you're going to be able to basically create your own liquid LNG, so you can just store it and have a liquid LNG on the go,
just everywhere.
It'll be it's more. Yeah, it's steam. They're going to need all that for the nuclear energy plants for the AI. You're going to have to get your own gas.
That's right. As you'll have to go start paying for oil rights and pulling it out of the ground. Do you think it's more efficient to mine LNG or buy it?
That's what's great about it. Sometimes it's negative price, so it's
Have you considered getting some just giant tanks and putting them in your backyard, just so when it goes negative, you can offer to store it?
I've thought about stuff like that all the time. I only have so many hours in the day to do it.
I mean,
you're spending most of your time listening to
Yeah, right now. So right now, it is more valuable to listen to Bitcoin podcasts than to become like a hoarder of my own liquid natural gas. But I do monitor that market very closely. So if if the curve inverts, I'll switch to looking for natural gas.
Richard, have you ever considered that you're talking about women in Starbucks, that the word hormones starts with whore?
I don't think I've ever considered that.
That occurred to me today.
Yeah. Wait, let's extrapolate this idea. So keep on going.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think that there's women are governed by their hormones, and that just seems like it's different than men for the most part. Which I think that's why they're named that.
Yeah, the hormones. The hormones because of the hormones. It's like, instead of asking your wife if she had her period, just be like, the hormones because of the hormones.
See?
I think some men are governed by their hormones too. Have you ever met Corey Clipston?
I've never met him. I was told I was bad for Bitcoin and bad for Swan.
Is this where you trying to speak at Pacific Bitcoin or something?
Well, I'm never trying to speak anyway. So no,
a lot of people wanted to be there. It was very good apparently.
Terrence of Swan Bitcoin told me this, that I was bad for Bitcoin and bad for Swan. He told me I was a transphobe, and I said I've never been afraid of any trans people ever.
Do you know what happened to Terrence last year at the conference?
Did he get shaved?
No, this is it. Terrence really hasn't been on Twitter a whole lot since the conference last year because, and we reported on this, he was caught in the men's bathroom trying to sell ordinals and try to trade ordinals in the, when people would be in a stall next to him, he'd stick something under the
classic.
And he got busted. He got busted. He was a huge ordinals phobe. He projected a lot on David Bailey. It was pretty ugly. And got caught trading ordinals and silent since.
Classic Terrence.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, I think, some of the strongest, it's kind of like the most homophobic people, oftentimes turn out to be gay.
Well, I once got in a car with Terrence, and he was driving a Toyota Yaris filled with clothes. And I looked at him and I said, Terrence, do you prefer the word Chinaman or Chinese man? And he told me Chinaman is what he prefers. So I think that Terrence is the kind of guy that would sell ordinals in a bathroom in secret.
It's interesting, his Twitter profile is like Harvard, Wall Street, all this, and it's hard. He's driving a tried Yaris car full of clothes.
It's hard for a Chinaman to get into Harvard.
Mm-hmm. That's true. No, wait, I thought it was too easy. That's why they had to break it up. I got it backwards.
Yeah, because
they let
the blacks in, right, to Harvard, but the Chinamen, they give them a disadvantage because of their brains. And they give blacks an advantage because of their brains, but for the opposite reason.
The Chinese brains are using ASIC boost. It's not fair.
Right, it's unfair. So you had to give the brains that are not using ASIC boost, that are just on the normal software. You had to give them an opportunity to also get into Harvard. What's interesting is that back in the day, not so long ago, I don't know what, 70s, it was required that you speak Latin to get into Harvard, and I don't know any Chinamen or blacks that speak Latin. And also, you have to be able to swim to graduate, so that I think is an impediment to certain people.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I do have to say, you're a much braver man than I am. I don't think I would ever get in a car with Terrence Yang. I wouldn't trust him.
A Chinaman in a Japanese car.
Well, it was me. It was me, Terrence, and American Hoddle. So I trusted him because American Hoddle trusted him. Really,
That was your first mistake.
I take most of my cues from that man now. I used to not. I used to not. But American Hoddle's come a long way. He's turned into a real classical Bitcoiner. You know what I mean?
What is your definition of classical Bitcoiner?
Like tall.
Yeah. Was he short before?
He was shorter, but then he got taller. So now he's become more of a classical Bitcoiner.
What do you think helped him get taller? I think a lot of people listening to this might want to.
I think a combination of HGH and Viagra.
I think
Viagra, or was it Dennis Porter?
And eating sea animals of all sorts, like oysters.
Interesting.
A lot of people who are in Bitcoin nowadays, and they're like really hardcore maximalists, really preaching it's almost like the pull yourself up by your bootstraps message is a lot of guys who are short. It's not the classical Bitcoiners, but they know better than just about anybody why you shouldn't, what can go wrong in life if you're short. They don't want to be short Bitcoin. They learned their lesson. And so they're stacking, they're hodling all the way.
They're trying to become long.
But they have to just be, they have to, they're trying to prove to everybody else, but they have to prove to themselves that, Bitcoin's going to go up. Like they don't have to enforce it. By being maximalist on the timeline.
They'll get there. Word of advice to them, they'll get there. Just hold your MSTR, hold it forever, and you'll someday be a wealthy Bitcoiner too.
Yeah, just remember, not being short Bitcoin does not mean you have to be leveraged long Bitcoin.
That's true.
How much MSTR do you need to retire?
At the moment, or in the future?
In the future.
I think one share will do it.
You keep slicing up the pizza, but you can't make more pizza. So you can keep diluting your shares, but each individual share, it's accretive, so it's going to keep going up in value.
Each share will probably be worth 9,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin.
Somebody's going to pay for a pizza with MSTY shares, and they're going to be rolling, kicking themselves for how much that MST would be valued at today, or in the future.
Very interesting.
Well, all right, Richard, you want to? I think we've already covered it. You wanted to ask the last two questions of the show.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to our show? It sounds like probably not.
No, I hadn't. Rob told me I need to, but I don't listen to Rob.
We're not trying to scold you for that. We just want to make sure that you don't know the questions.
No, I don't know the questions. No, but I didn't think I was being scolded. I was just informing you that I have.
I always feel guilty when I say. I always feel guilty when I have to say no.
I don't. I told her I don't listen to these things. I'm outside masturbating and doing steampunk things.
Yeah. Well, I asked. So we just started doing this show behind the podcast. It's relatively new.
Yeah.
We've been rolling the Bugle Weekly, which we publish on Mondays, for just over a year. We did 55 episodes, one a week. But yeah, before we read the week prior's Fountain Booze with our guest, which is always interesting because they almost never listen to our show. But I ask him two questions every show.
Okay.
So the first one I already asked you. Did you listen to the last one? Which you haven't. The second one is, are you Jewish? And I think we already covered this. Today. It sounds like you're in the Jewish gang, but you're not Jewish.
Right. This is the best word I've seen in a long time. Antiswanitic.
Yeah, Antiswanitism.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, it really peaked at the end of 2023, but
Antiswanitism.
you see it pop up on the timeline all the time. There's a lot of
I had
anti-Swanitists.
100% of my money in Swan for a while.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they don't let me withdraw.
Like I would have held it myself, but I thought to myself, what's a safer option than me holding it? And I thought Corey Clipstein holding it would be better.
And yeah, I mean, the reason Swan's successful is because apparently most people agree with that.
But wouldn't you agree? Like Corey is just a better holder than you or me, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, most of the Bitcoin I ever did, I spent on cigarettes, so I'd agree. If he's holding my Bitcoin, I can spend it on cigarettes.
That's a good you need things in your life to get you past the bear markets.
And yeah, like that's for Swan, like that's the Pacific Bitcoin Conference and the new Washington D.C. conference. So if it's a new Swan conference, that's like the sign, that's the indicator that we're in a bear market.
So Terrence told you that you were bad for Bitcoin and bad for Swan.
Yeah.
Is that because you were displaying some anti-Swanitism?
He thought I was being anti-Swanitic, and I told him that I buy Bitcoin on Swan, and he told me that if I bought Bitcoin on Swan, then he would know it and that I'm lying. And I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine." But he thought I was being anti-Swanitic, and I really wasn't. I have a great appreciation for Swan. I think that the way that Swan controls the media is very, very. I'm impressed by it. I'm impressed by the intelligence of the employees of Swan, and how smart they are, and how hardworking and good with money they are. Like, there's just a lot of. You might call me philoswanitic.
And that's big right there. Like if I tell a CEO of a company that I have my Bitcoin there, I want them to respond. I want to know that if I did that and that if I'm there, they know about it, that they would know about it. That's how you know that he's taking care of the money. He knows his buy, and he's paying attention to all their data.
He knows the name of every account.
To have a good user experience, you have to get to know your users.
And the best thing about it is, like, I know that he's complying with KYC regulations when he knows the true names of all of his users. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is one of the issues with a lot of these companies is they don't really know their customers.
Right, but Swan, I mean, Terrence told me that Swan does, and that's why, and he said I was lying that I was buying there because he didn't know me as a customer. And I guess in some ways that was reassuring, but also not that reassuring for me because I was buying there. And, but it was fine because they let you withdraw. So, but he told me I was bad for Bitcoin and bad for Swan as a result of this conversation, and I felt like I put that on my profile so that everyone can know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a Bitcoin exchange, it's important to have a media arm, to have a conference, because you need 1 million podcasters to have all your customers on to get to know them.
Right. Yeah.
Next
agreed.
level. Well, we don't have too many boosts for this. So the last episode was Kaz Baiko. He thinks that he's
a former Swan.
Yeah, former Swan employee. He thinks that creating a new podcast app with good UX is revolutionary. We discussed that.
That's exciting.
It was at the height of Maxi Madness when we had this conversation. And,
Oh, yeah.
So I got a DM from Corey in the middle of the conversation. Corey was letting me know his concerns with Maxi Madness, and to discuss that a little bit. But 10,000 stats from Late Stage Huddle. Did you really get a DM from Corey Clipston? He spelled his name wrong. That's kind of rude. Clipstein. It's spelled Clipston.
Yeah, Klippenstein.
No, that's usually intentional.
Yeah, right in the middle. Well, that's anti-somatic, so knock it off, Late Stage Huddle. Right in the middle of the recording. I've been anti-Swanatic since he blocked me on Twitter. Yes, I did get a DM from Corey, and I wouldn't take it personally. I mean, there's a lot of good swans out there. The answer is never anti-Swanitism. You can always criticize them. Anti-Swanitism is kind of like Trump derangement syndrome. You know what I mean? Like you can be opposed to a person or an institution or an idea, but you don't have to take it over the top. You need fair criticisms.
Right.
Yeah, Bitcoin fails. It's not Swan's fault. And some people just have to realize that. Like,
But if Swan
Bitcoin
fails,
doesn't.
it is my fault.
Right, it's not yeah, it's not Swan's fault.
Right.
If it's not Odie's fault, it's not Odie's fault. So don't let Odie take credit, because Odie will take credit if Swan fails.
I did it.
But it was Junseth.
Thank you.
The next one is from Pies. So when you were talking about your orgy and the kid with the six pack who was just pounding every hole, I made the comparison to podcasts. Like Pies list, if you ever get on Fountain and you look to the comments and the replies of every single Bitcoin podcast that you could possibly think of, Pies has listened to it, boosted it, and commented on it within an hour of it publishing.
Here's my question about for Pies. If Pies is spending all of his sats on Bitcoin commentary, what is he using to buy cigarettes with?
That's a good question. Pies is like, I think he said he was doing 40 cigarettes per day. So the guy is just crushing it. I mean, he's dude never loses focus.
He's got 4 cigarettes there in the comments for which he paid 420 sats. So I guess there's that.
Yeah,
he's got a union job.
If you're buying Lucy's, the exchange rate's 1,000 sats a cigarette right now.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're buying in bulk, you can get that price down pretty significantly. I only buy in bulk because I only smoke in bulk. So
if you're looking for non-KYC cigs,
more than one at once?
Not usually. I mean, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I smoke about 3 packs a day. My wife smokes about 2. My kid smokes about 1. So
yeah, I think smoking 2 cigarettes, smoking 2 cigarettes at the same time is like being into really big tits. You're doing it for the distraction. Richard does it because he's enjoying a cigarette.
Richard, have you told your kid that one pack a day is weak sauce?
Well, I mean, he's got to grow up a little bit. He's only 8 years old. You know what I mean?
Right, but
it doesn't mean he's gay.
8 with a good father like you'd have him on 2.5 packs already.
Well, I can't afford it yet, so I'm kind of glad that he doesn't. We don't get enough Fountain Boost to be able to afford that. So.
Yeah, for people out there, if your kid's not smoking 2 packs a day by the time he's 10 years old, that doesn't mean he's gay. Some people just don't need that much nicotine. They're late bloomers.
Yeah, I'm content with him smoking only a pack a day until Bitcoin hits 2 trillion USDT later this year.
My kid will not be caught smoking Newports, though. They know that.
What's wrong with Newports?
It's just
they're menthol.
That's not.
Rod,
Newports don't mix.
You seem like a clove only. Are you like importing them from Pakistan?
Absolutely not. We're very anti-clove.
It's actually in the employee handbook that if you get found to be smoking cloves, you get terminated immediately at the Bugle.
Oof.
You know who Rod outed for smoking cloves? Or I think Rob Hamilton pointed this out to us.
Who?
Nadex.
Nadex was smoking cloves.
What a fag.
I agree.
That's exactly what we said.
You know, I knew a number of government employees who worked overseas, and all of they had these cigarettes. They were normal tobacco filled cigarettes, and some were cloves, but depended. They all looked the same, but they had them in these nice packages that didn't come with like death pictures, you know, and they looked like crayons. They had beautiful colors all throughout, and it was a pleasure. Smoking them was a pleasure.
Well, I mean,
red crayon stick.
It's like in the military, if you're deployed, clothes aren't gay, but
they'll give your position.
It's like
away.
Exactly.
Is that an official stance of Bitcoin veterans?
Yeah. Clothes are gay unless you're deployed. Once you're deployed, you're in a forward operating location. Like you said, clothes smell nice.
Yeah.
They look nice. It just looks like something that, wants to look beautiful. Like, it's nice to enjoy that.
There's not much you can do when you're deployed that like makes you gay. Like you're alone with a bunch of men, naked in the shower. You reach over, you grab the guy next to you, you finish him off. I think that's allowed even when you're deployed. Only when you're deployed.
Right. That's what I think the Middle East could learn from the West is if you want to be gay, you got to go start a war somewhere and go fight it.
That was good words.
Not at home. All right. The next one is also from Pies. That's the other thing about Pies. He's a double booster, sometimes a triple booster. Pies, he's triple boosted every podcast we've ever seen. But this is cigarettes emojis, 420 sat boost. Once again, thank you, Pies.
Next one from BTC on board. Thumbs up, lightning. Wow, we got another one for Pies. I'll read this one. When will voting come to Noster? I couldn't vote because I don't fuck with Twitter.
Honestly, Pies, Noster, it's all up to the UX progress that Noster makes. So if they add polls, but every time I look up headlines, it's just more bad news about the user experience with Noster. So I wouldn't hold my breath.
Well, interesting thing on this. Matt Odell said on Citadel Dispatch today with Rob Hamilton that he's talking with Dorsey about adding voting functionality to Noster via Primal.
I'm just doing the math here. So you guys made like on that episode, you guys made like $4.
Yeah, it was kind of a bad.
It was a bad one.
Good business.
Last one was like $100. USDT. I mean, anytime you get triple digit USDT for talking about Bitcoin for an hour, tell me that's not more valuable than most other things you can do at 9 o'clock at night.
It sounds like you guys are running a very profitable business. You take that $4, you split it between the two of you. That's two McDonald's sandwiches. That's like a full day's worth of calories.
We have to pay our producer, Kaylee Welch, as well.
So you divide it by 3?
Yeah. And then we have some other contributors, like we've got Timmy Tether, we've got Pastor Jeffs, we've got...
We also get boosted Monero.
So you're getting like 34 cents a piece. Pretty good.
Yeah, we don't read the Monero boost because we respect their privacy.
That makes sense.
No.
Let's see. We got 168,000 sats for the Mike Brock debate.
Oh, okay.
Which comes out to 141 USDT.
That's amazing.
It was a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, this is bear market podcasting. You know what I mean? Bitcoin's under 100K.
This is why you don't go leverage. You don't take leverage to get podcast equipment, microphones, roadcasters, and then not be prepared for the bear market because the income's going to dwindle.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you guys are you able to? Do you have a liquor budget or?
I mean, I don't drink a whole lot. I don't really feel the need to. I used to drink a lot back when I worked with traditional media because it was so soul sucking. But I don't really need to. I just like Bitcoin podcasts are what do it for me. Kaylee drinks a lot. She likes to drink and drive. I mean, I typically only drink when I'm driving. I kind of
Well, yeah, I mean, my cigarette habit, my beef tallow product habit are so high that it makes up for not drinking a whole lot.
In the bear market, can you afford those things, or do you have to cut back?
Well, I mean, you definitely have to cut back.
Do you stop using beef tallow for like more than just cooking? Is that what you?
Well, yeah. Sometimes you have to start eating seed oils to start getting sunburned again, but you just got to do what you got to do to survive.
Do you use beef tallow as like a suntan lotion? Is that?
I've tried it. It's mostly for my mustache. It's a good mustache pomade.
Okay. I see.
No,
we've got, and one thing to mention, we do have other streams of income. So we've got like the t-shirt store. We got the 40 HPW clothing line, which has been a real hit. We've got the
I put my child line. in the Peter Todd shirt.
Yeah, Peter Todd is Satoshi. Yeah.
Where's the comply? There we go. This is my t-shirt.
For Shepherd Fair. I like this.
Yeah, we got the comply t-shirt.
Whose face is that?
That's the guy that beat you in Axie Madness. That's Michael Saylor.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, these have been picking up in sales. We've got a few other things that we're going to. What other cool T-shirts do we have to show? We got the Plebs on Parade T-shirt, the Timmy Tether T-shirt, Maxi Madness T-shirt. This one is a good one. This is what a Bitcoin podcaster looks like. Where's the
wife one?
Yeah, where's the wife one?
Maybe it's on the third page. And it just says, "Oh, they're right there." I wish it was a Bitcoin podcast, so my husband would listen to me.
No, that's good.
And it's for it.
You guys should make jerseys for all of the people in the Maxi brackets and Terrence Yang.
Oh, there's going to be merch next year for sure. There's going to be influencer-inspired merch.
That's a good idea. I mean, I did reach out to I forgot what the Bitcoin jersey guy's name is, but I got some quotes from him on some jerseys, and I think we're going to make some sports puck jerseys.
And Corey Clipstein jersey.
Or Clipstein. We got Jack's going to need a jersey. Teddy Bitcoins probably needs a jersey. We should probably retire Teddy Bitcoins and do like a ceremony, raise it to the top with a banner, show a little respect, and just kind of let other people compete.
Number 23.
Number 23. Yeah. That's right.
Retire that number.
He is a legend.
Truly. I didn't, the thing that Teddy Bitcoins made me realize is that there are hundreds of thousands of Bitcoiners out there. Some of them are people. Some of them are AIs. Some of them are women.
Some of them are pretending to be women.
The women showed up to vote at Maxi Madness. I think that's what really swung.
And they voted for Teddy Bitcoins.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Not all of them.
Yeah,
and the women voted for Shinobi. Shinobi pulled off a lot of upsets to all the chicks that he simped a lot of girls, so they thrown the support back.
Yeah,
especially against Salem.
Do you think Shinobi has a chance with D++?
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to learn to code. She's not going to respect him until he learns to code.
You're working on that, Richard?
Yeah, we've been trying to hook them up. for a while. We think they would be a good couple, but I don't know. Dee won't respond to us. She won't respond. I messaged her on Instagram the other day, and no response. So I don't know if she's not interested or she's busy.
Did you send it on behalf of Shinobi, or like what did you?
Well, we were at a conference and they were kind of standing next to each other, and I pulled the old trick where I grabbed Shinobi's arm and I pulled him up to D++. I said, "Hey, this is my friend Shinobi. He wants to meet you." And I walked away, and he came back like 5 minutes later, and he said no. And I talked to D. She said he just spent the whole time ranting about calling Donald Trump retarded. He didn't even use the opportunity to talk to her or get to know her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing holding Shinobi back from dating D is I just don't think she's into orange cells, and Shinobi's a little bit of an orange cell.
That makes sense. So you're working on that, though. I think that's good for Shinobi. I think he needs to dick down. You know what I mean?
100%. Hear those bear market blues. Have a slump buster. Everybody needs a slump buster.
Finish on a win. Well, Junseth, really appreciate you coming on the show.
I don't know how I feel about it. Like I feel like I've doxed myself here.
What do you mean?
I feel like I'm doxing myself.
How so?
I think you're just paranoid because you're stoned.
I wish I were.
Which part, like being in the Jewish mafia, or which part are you concerned about doxing yourself?
I think the Jews, definitely concerned about the Jews, and the skinheads, to be honest.
The Bitcoin skinheads?
The Bitcoin skinheads, which are a fairly large demographic. I think Shinobi's part of them. I'm not sure. He won't confirm it.
Like the Stony Bitsons?
Like the Stony Bitson's definitely the leader of that group. So I think he's Minnesotan, though, so I think he's okay with me.
As long as you're willing to call Corey Clipson a retard, Stony will give you a pass.
I won't call Corey Clipson a retard.
It's anti-swamp.
I can't do it because, like, here's the thing: Corey is a politician, and he will anytime he insults me or accidentally blocks me, and someone tells him, he turns around and sucks my dick. And I just feel like I would lose that privilege if I started calling him a retard. He'd remember who I am.
Hell yeah, I would not want to give up blowjobs from Corey Clipson either. So
that's what I'm saying.
I guess I wouldn't say it, but yeah, I don't know. I think Stoney's just, he's got a high temper. He just blames a lot of things on. It's like one of those things. You stub your toe, you got to blame something. For Stony, he's having a bad day. You drop one of those big rocks on his toes. He's got to blame the Jews. Yeah.
Some people blame the Jews. Like Martin Luther, and some people blame Swan. Makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Swan derangement syndrome.
SDS.
Or derangement syndrome.
CDS.
Well, I think you're going to be safe. I think we have enough pull. I don't think anybody's going to come after you. I
really hope
think you're
not.
safe.
Thank God.
I mean, you're friends with the Jewish mafia or meme gang or whatever you want to call them. You know.
That's true. I feel like I might have a special place with them too as a Shabbos goy. So, you know.
Daddy, we said worse things on this here thing before, and we still have an invite. to go to Israel when, they offer it to us. So it hasn't been revoked. So I think you'll be all right.
Who is they?
Who,
It's a privilege to know who they is.
Well, it's important. It's important to know who they is when you say they. It doesn't matter where other people misinterpret it, as long as you know. Otherwise, you blame the wrong thing. You blame the Jews. You blame the government.
It's never.
So make sure you always know who they is.
Right. It's never the Jews.
You got to listen to 40 Hours of Marty Bent to learn who they is.
I'm definitely not going to listen to 40 Hours of Marty Bent. I like Marty, but 40 Hours of Marty Bent is far too little entropy.
Why do you say that?
That's a great way to put it. If somebody asks you how you like their podcast and you're not sure what to tell them, you just tell them it's not enough entropy.
That's right.
You will want more entropy in your podcast, man.
I listen to 1 hour, and then 39 hours of other stuff. Richard, that should make you satisfied.
Well, I don't care what you do. I'm just prescribing what I think is necessary for a healthy life. It's
40 Hours of Marty Bent podcasts?
For some people.
Yeah. You got to know how the world... Like, how are you going to understand the tariffs right now if you don't listen to 40 Hours of Bitcoin podcast?
That's a good point.
But for some people, yeah, you just gotta for some people, Jordan Peterson, at least the old stuff, is revolutionary stuff. And by the time you're old enough to rent a car, you know that you have to make your bed. And if you don't, well, you still need to listen to Jordan Peterson podcasts. And some people have to listen to Jordan Peterson podcasts till they're in their 30s or until they're in their 40s. And that, as long as they keep listening, they can overcome it. It's,
I don't think Terrence Yang has ever listened to Jordan Peterson podcasts, and that's why
his car was
right. If you still need to listen to Dave Ramsey podcasts in your 40s, you're probably not going to make it. If you have to listen to Jordan Peterson podcasts in your 40s, you're probably not going to make it. But still doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
You're going to listen to David Ramsey podcast in your 40s. I don't know if you're going to retire.
Right, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
That's a good point.
Keep listening to the podcast.
How much MicroStrategy do you think he owns?
Jordan Peterson?
Dave Ramsey.
37.
So he's going to be retiring for sure.
Yeah.
He's trying to afford taxes. That's kind of our motto. Just trying to make sure I can afford to pay my taxes. And in my experience, I recommend Bitcoin to people because Bitcoin helps me afford to pay my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't pay dividends.
That's right. And,
I get it. Boys, it is midnight 10.
Thank you for coming on the show, Junseth. This is a long time coming.
Watch some porn. And
hell yeah. Hey, throw on some Dennis Porter. Throw on some OnlyFans. I call it a good night.
See, you and I end our nights the same way.
That's right.
That's, I guess,
with a cigarette, of course. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
At the end,
I guess we've come to the conclusion that that's just the best way to end the day. So, if you're out there, you do the same. Look at some pictures of Dennis Porter.
Dennis, non-KYC, non-KYC feet pics. Yeah.
KYC feet pics, and then a little OnlyFans, and that's how.
And some tallow lube.
And tallow. And that, my friends, is what precedes a great night of sleep.
Post-nut, listen to some Michael Saylor. You ever use Adam Back interviews to fall asleep?
Those are good. It's like counting sheep, yeah.
I've never done that, but now that you mention it, you guys should add a section to your site of like sleepy podcasts.
Oh, we're going to do 40 hours per week of sleepy podcasts.
That's what I mean. Like, because it counts if you're sleeping, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could also do, you do them if your wife's pregnant, you put headphones on her pregnant belly. What's 40 hours per week for your unborn child? Start them early.
It's not a 1-for-1, but yeah, it definitely counts.
Yeah. Cool.
Alrighty. Thank you again.